Okay, guys, so I'm back. As if I had gone very far, just returned from my trip. Okay, just kidding. So, I wanted to do a reading on Paul Ryan. I've done a really brief reading on him, and I'll attach a link at the end of the video. This was one of the first readings I've done, and I wanted to find out more about him because, of course, I feel like there's so much going on in the House more than the Senate. There's stalling so obviously, and there's all these like weird creeps, right? Like these guys who like want to take Mr. Miller down. Do not mess with Mr. Miller, by the way. Okay, everybody knows I love Mr. Miller. So anyway, so I just wanted to find out more about him because he's so talent. He has like this talent of this straight face, right? Paul Ryan's like, hi, like I'm gonna take out your healthcare. I'm gonna whatever. Like he's just has like it's like this incredible talent, right? He lies. Well, he not just lies. He's a hypocrite. He has that face of his. It's incredible. It's always on. Like I'm Ryan. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to describe him. He just has that. It's incredible because his face doesn't move. It's always the same face. He doesn't. He never shows disappointment. He never shows. It's like he's learned how to perfect this act of his. So anyway, I wanted to know more about him because I'm in a way I'm fascinated about his face. I find it fascinating how his face moves, and I would love to see a video of him where he's being himself, where he finally washes the face of his away. Okay, he's like he doesn't have that like, oh, I'm the just like he's so fake. Yeah, anyway, so I just wanted to know more about him because I really would like to know the day when he actually is himself, or what is it like in what is it like in person, because he's wearing a mask. It's like his Halloween costume is like every day his own Halloween. I'd like to know what he looks like without a mask on. Okay, so anyway, so here's the reading for him, and it probably adds to the readings that, like I said, I've done before, but this is a bit longer reading. I wanted to find out more. I don't know exactly what. It just gives more details about the whole thing, and it's interesting because the first card that comes from him from the Lenormand is this, the clover, which means opportunity. It's really literally opportunity, and I feel like it's saying Paul Ryan is an opportunist. Okay, and he's not. He's kind of like, well, I guess he's group because this is a card of group celebration, right? It's a wedding or something to do with public celebration, but they're not celebrating. On the other hand, they're like kind of apathetic and disappointed. And here's opportunist. So he represents the group of apathetic people. He's an opportunist. And it's interesting because right at the center, there's a woman. I'll talk about more about this. Queen of Cups. And then the lady that we know means Russia. Okay. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, blonde woman. I don't think it's Ivanka. And I just I was thinking more about it, and actually the queen of anything related to cups is emotional. And what I'm feeling here is that the Russians were able to capitalize on something emotional. There was an emotional connection between Paul Ryan and the Russian ideas, or they were able to use that to get to him. Okay. All right. And actually I pulled more cards. I was like, okay, who's this person? Who's this Queen of Cups? And I got this, which is a card of a lot of energy and no focus. But it didn't add much to it. And I just thought, let me go with what I see, and then I'll talk about it more, talk about what's going on. So it gives the background. This is pretty interesting. The first card here is the mountain, a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties, and a person in the midst of change. A lot of change and a lot of challenges. Okay. Because again, like I've said this before, usually comes like this in this group, but this time it came up right. So that means a lot of changes, a lot of literally balls up in the air. Okay. And then came the card that always comes up for this group, the synth. Is that right? Scythe. Sorry. And then the Ace of Swords underneath. So it means a kind of lack of focus and sort of not loss, but loss of it confirms the first. It's like apathetic also in a way. It's like energy but no way to go. And what I believe this means, this card, I've looked into it a lot because it comes up so much. And one of the things it means, it's also making a decision. It's something sudden, but also making a decision. So what I believe this means is that he was struggling with all the balls in the air and a lot of problems. And he saw this he saw this as an opportunity, okay, to this is also a card of an ending. So you could see, okay, this is an ending to the problems. He is having a lot of problems, can't handle all the balls in the air. He suddenly sees an opportunity, right, to get out of the problems. And here we have defeat. It's a card of defeat. A hard time dealing with defeat. On top of it is the older man, okay, the card of the lilies, the older man. And underneath the older man, we have sort of like poor execution. That's what it is. Okay, so this is a card about beginning of execution, and this is a card of kind of like having a hard time focusing in time of execution. Okay, so this is, and then comes the foreign power. Okay. So I'm just trying to like, okay, sorry guys. All right, I'm kind of self-conscious here. All right. So anyway, so here's the older man, the hard time moving on from defeat, and then a sort of chaotic foreign influence. Okay. So what I feel here, since his first card really was about opportunity, taken in as a group, it's saying that the Russians were able to jump on the opportunity. They saw that there was a lot of people were upset. They didn't have a focus. They didn't have energy. So they found him, and they also found. So there came this man who was, he was connected to the foreign power, but there was a sort of like a lack of focus, right? There was a lack of focus, and I feel like this tells me that this is, and something I've seen in his reading, something as if there's this term called the chaos agent. In a way, I believe his role, as I'll go into this further, is a little bit to create delays, to create, not necessarily to stop things straight, but to work to put things to a halt in a very indirect way. So I feel like this energy that's showing up here confirms what I feel from the beginning, which shows in the beginning, which is that the energy is not there completely, lack of focus, and it seems as though he carries this into everything. Okay, and then the first part of the second block of the first main reading comes hard time making a decision and painful decisions, hard fought decisions. Okay, and then a partnership and an anchor. And I've discussed this before. An anchor is, it literally means what it is, right? So let's say that you're like, okay, I'm thinking, okay, for like, you could say that I am an anchor for Robert Mueller, right? I'm a person, I feel like that's in me, and I put on the ground, I stand as a person who works, who believes in this, right? In this idea, right? So in a way, I feel like an anchor, in a way, is anybody who does the job of X, or who's a believer in some ways, or either an employee or a believer in some way. Okay, so here we see that to him, in a way, this was a painful decision, or that he was going back and forth because he probably knew that this was going to be complicated. And at the same time, I feel like this is showing a lot of disagreement. This is a card of discussions where when people are fighting in person, yelling at each other. Okay, so it's also possibly showing that right now, you know how the Republicans are also having a hard time coming up with their own plans, their tax bills, all the bills they put together. They just seem to not be able to come with to come up with a decision. They kind of get flip flop on things. Okay, so this is showing again that in the background of this difficult decision making, and a lot of fighting, he remembers that he has a business deal and he's an anchor to this business deal, right? He's one of them. He committed to them, and I'll show you why this matters too in the next. I'll show you the next column and then how it relates to this one. Okay, so then on top, the very last column, we have an opportunity. A person is offered an opportunity. Okay, and he is a snake, which we know about him, right? He's like probably he's the king of the snakes. He's like the fakest of the fake. Okay, so he's an it could also be that here's an opportunity for you to be a snake, for us to be there and observe and tell us what you see. Okay, and this is a card of working together. There's several cards in here in his reading that suggest groups of people working together. Okay, so this is another one, and this is a card of guilt. So what I feel like is that this working together, okay, let's put this together here. This is a card of partnership or be an anchor, and this right next to it is a card of a group working together and guilt. So it's almost as if the group is guilty. Okay, because he has this partnership and he works in a group, and this group is guilty, and he definitely took whatever opportunity. Okay, he took an opportunity, and the opportunity is shady. Okay, and then the group is guilty, and the group is guilty probably as well. Okay, so let me just look at this again and summarize what I see here. It's just that I don't want to say that he's indecisive, but here's a person who faced a lot of challenges, and looking at what he had to deal with, he believed that this was the arrival of the older man with the foreign power influence was an opportunity for him, and that the Russians were able to connect with him emotionally in some way. He made a deal. He became an anchor, even though that cost him. That was painful, and he had a hard time. He had a kind of like a back and forth. He accepted the opportunity. He was a snake, and in the end, he brings hardship to the working group, okay, or he brings guilt to the working group. That's literally what the cards are saying. And I'll get into the part where we talk about Mueller and what he believes could be his issue, the story that he tells. So here it's the man who is working diligently, and the card of corruption. So you could say, okay, you're a man working diligently in the name of corruption, in the name of theft, in the name of illegal things, okay? And here's a card of a lot of money, a person who's very rich. Could be donors, right? We could look at it this way, and gifts. So this is telling me that he receives a lot of gifts from donors. And remember, the gifts are different from, there's different kinds of money, different kinds of gifts. But in this case, it's not a quid pro quo. It's like a gift. So it could also be that he's the money person who accepts illegal gifts in some way, okay? And that illegal gifts this is a happy home and a child. So in a way, we could argue that he receives gifts, and he receives gifts to make sure that the person, that the child is happy in the house, okay? So we could see, it's almost as if not only does he take the money, but there's something about the money being related to the man in the house too. Okay, so he may get a cut of whatever money too. It's not just that he raises the money, but that ultimately he receives some of it as well. Okay, and in a way, if you think of corruption, that's how it works. It's about everybody gets a cut of something, and that's what motivates people not to talk. Okay, here, okay. We have this card. Sorry, I'm looking for another card. Oh, okay, hold on a second. So many cards. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm just going to come here. All right. Okay. Okay. So the second row is the part where he defends himself, or he's like, or his defense. Okay. But I don't see a defense. I just see more of the story. And I can't tell exactly what's going to happen to him. I just feel like no, it's not good, but it's not clear exactly what that total outcome is going to be. But here's the White House and a bully. Okay, bully attitudes, aggressive person, critical person, like literally a school bully because it's a younger kid. So the bully in the White House, this is a card of a person who's like at the end of the rope, like really like distressed out and like almost there, like dying, but he's almost there. Okay, and there's a letter, and here is a person who doesn't. It's kind of funny because, in a way, to me, this definitely describes some Republicans. Now, I'm not saying all of them are like this, but that greedy person who wants to hold on to the little they've got, and they're willing to do anything. So this is telling me, this is kind of an interesting pattern here. This card and this card together, it's telling me that he's willing, and so this is a card of a fox, as it always means the same thing to me. The person who does the back, like hidden deals, things happening behind people's back, hidden things. So it's like he is willing to go to do anything to hold on to his money, to hold on to his position, including doing things behind people's back, illegal things. Okay, so this is a written communication and a bully at the White House. So I feel what I feel this is telling me is that somewhere there is a communication, probably some sort of message or email, something that proves that he is involved. That he is involved in with the bully at the White House. That he will do anything, and that he will get into behind the scene money deals just so he can keep his position. Okay, that's what this is telling me. And at the end, um, here, now I'm thinking, well, yeah, I think this card was like, I'm like, did I turn it out? It came like this. So this is the last row, and it's the row where where the last, it's like, what's the cautionary tale, the footnote, the story, what is the story we'll remember about this person? Okay, so I feel like it's an illusions. I'm just going to put together the basics and then form the storyline from that. Okay, end of an illusion. And standstill, secret, overbearing dictator, a lot of money. So, putting a stronger story together, I would think this means end of an illusion. Okay. This man is compromised because he has a connection to the secret, and the secret has to do with the overbearing person who abuses his authority and like a big amount of money. Okay, so that's what it's telling me. This is basically that there will come a point where truth is going to come out and it will prove that he's involved. Like, if you think about it, it's very interesting, right? How we are watching everything unfold, and a lot of people, especially people in the house, they kind of don't want it to go. They don't want anything to happen. They introduce these ridiculous bills that want to remove Mr. Mueller and all the bullshit. But the reality is that, again, they're involved, right? There's a standstill because they have an involvement. So they create this standstill so that this can be pushed further and further because they're involved in the secret. And the secret has to do with the overbearing dictator and lots of hidden money. So that's the story. Okay, so this is what's telling me. This is the story that I'm getting about Paul Ryan, a person who is willing to do anything to maintain his power, a person who was very threatened by changes and obstacles and saw the opportunity that was presented to him by the Russians as a means to avert defeat. And it was a painful decision for him, but he went along and accepted the offer, and he became an anchor to this cause. And as a result, he tainted the group, or the group is already tainted alongside with him, okay? And that he was tasked with getting money and working diligently, and he received gifts. And the gifts have to do with his child at the White House, at the house, making the child happy. And the White House has a person who is a bully, and he doesn't want to lose. He's willing to do anything, including backdoor. Is that backdoor deal, something like that? And there's a letter that proves his involvement. There are documents to prove his involvement. And then in the end, once truth comes and everything comes to light, we understand why he and others in his group create these standstills, because they're involved in this secret plan that involves a lot of money to help the person who abuses power, who we know happens to be the president, right? So that's the story. Paul Ryan, the man with the rubber mask. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye, guys.